Hello, my name is Edward X. Young, and my politics are right. I'd like to tell you a little story about earlier this summer in July of 2020. I went with some friends to New York City. I dared return to the worst Wuhan flu hotspot in the United States to support the police. Mayor de Blasio, the Marxist mayor of New York City, without a permit, got together and painted Black Lives Matter in front of Trump Tower. Just did it to antagonize President Trump, to insult him and his family. And also, more than insulting the first family, Black Lives Matter, the organization, insults every police officer in the United States of America. It insults every citizen that supports law and order, because Black Lives Matter, those words, when they're in lowercase, are perfectly fine. Of course, Black Lives Matter. But when you capitalize them, it's a domestic terrorist organization. And the mayor of New York supported this. Now, we got a legitimate permit. The mayor did not. He painted this in front of Trump Tower with no permit. But we obtained, our group, our Back the Blue group, obtained a legitimate permit to rally for the NYPD for a period of 1 hour in front of Trump Tower. We didn't cause any problems. We didn't damage the painting on the street. We brought a big flag that was about 50 feet across, a banner, a big Blue Lives Matter flag, Back the Blue. We wish to stand in front of Trump Tower over the Black Lives Matter painting and extend this flag to show our support for the police. As soon as we unfurled this flag, we were approached by a police officer who meekly informed us our rally was over. It had just begun. No speakers had talked yet. He was told that he received orders from the mayor that our rally was over, and he was giving us a break. He said, the mayor said we could arrest you, but we'll give you a chance to fold up your flag and clear out. And when my friend who was running the rally inquired, what's this all about? He said, well, to quote the mayor, he said, get those bastards off my artwork now, or have them all arrested. So the mayor de Blasio of New York, the Marxist mayor, and let's face it, his name is not Bill de Blasio, it's Warren Wilhelm Jr. He has decided that he literally owns New York City. He owns Fifth Avenue. That's his artwork in front of Trump Tower on the street. And so, not to want any trouble, we agreed to fold up the flag and leave. And it just seemed ironic. Here were police officers essentially threatening to have us arrested and ordering us off the street where we came to support the New York City Police Department. After this debacle at Trump Tower, where we were chased away by the mayor, we actually came back to New York City a couple of weeks later to have a Back the Blue rally in front of City Hall to make the message clear that we support the police. And when I arrived there, I was disappointed to only find about a dozen people for this rally that we discussed on Facebook for over a week. And I asked the few who were there, where's the crowd? We're here to support the police officers. And they told me that most of the people were scared away because on the eastern and northern sides of City Hall, a group had formed to establish an autonomous zone, an autonomous cop-free zone outside of City Hall. And this was run by Black Lives Matter and Antifa. And apparently these people came over and intimidated members of our rally and scared most of them away. Having no rally, we decided, well, what shall we do now? Or we came to the city. Some of them were native New Yorkers. And my friend who was running the rally suggested, he was kind of young and had some guts, and he suggested, well, why don't we take a trip and walk through this autonomous zone? And I thought, well, he's young and he's fit. I'm older. I can't be shown up. So I said, yeah, I'll do that. Most of our group decided not to. Just about 6 of us decided, let's give it a look-see. This is still a free country. That's still the United States of America. This is New York City. So we walked around to City Hall and encountered the autonomous zone. And as we approached, wearing our MAGA hats and Trump hats and pro-police hats. We were immediately surrounded. It was like kicking a nest of hornets, surrounded by all of these crazed young, mostly white kids who were screaming obscenities at us. And in the middle of screaming at us and cursing us, they had cameras and they were snapping off pictures of us as fast as they could. And I asked my friend Dion, what are they doing? Why are they taking so many pictures of us? And he said, don't you understand? They're attempting to do facial recognition. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, they want to try to find out who you are and where you live if they capture your face by searching the internet, so that they can then come to your house and kill you. And I said, you're not exactly kidding, are you? And he said, no, not exactly. I'm pretty serious. So that was the first bad part, but things got bad. They surrounded us with our skateboards, and it looked like things were going to get pretty rough. And then a rather tall, well-spoken, apparently college-educated young black man came forward and had introduced himself as the supreme leader of this sovereign land, and asked us if we came here as colonialists. And I said, what? And he said, I want to know if you people are colonialists. I said, I don't understand. He said, have you come here? He goes, this is our independent country that we have established. Have you come here in an attempt to colonize us and force us to be part of the United States of America? I said, Jack, look, my car is simply parked a couple blocks away up here. I just want to get back to my car and go back to Jersey. And he said, well, if that's the case and you're not colonialists, I will protect you. I will escort you across our sovereign land. As long as you don't cause any trouble, I'll get you to the other side and you can go back to your car. And as we were attempting to walk through this sovereign land, the autonomous zone in New York, I was horrified at what I've seen, because the media is portraying these people as peaceful protesters, and that they're protesting against police brutality and a systemic racism. This is nothing more than the communist revolution. I attempted to take out my camera and take pictures of what I was seeing, and unfortunately I couldn't gather much, because a panic arose, and the leader of this sovereign land informed me, and he was kind enough not to destroy my camera, but informed me that if I did not put my camera away, he would confiscate it and have it destroyed. And I said, well, thank you for letting me keep my camera. I put it back in my pocket, but I'll tell you what I saw. There were hammers and sickles spray painted everywhere. There's no doubt this is a communist revolution. In addition to addressing whether these are peaceful protests, in addition to the obscenities they had directed at Trump, President Trump, and American citizens and the police department, there was graffiti, kill the pigs, with illustrations, cartoon illustrations of pigs, kill the police, F ... the 12. The 12 are, I didn't know what the 12 meant. I've learned that the 12 mean narcotics officers. So apparently these revolutionaries need their drugs. They don't need narcotics officers interfering with them. And there were pictures of George Floyd, and we all know who George Floyd is. And what happened to him was certainly tragic. But pictures of him as an angel ascending to heaven. But most disturbingly, there was a big mural, a painting. I wish I could have got a picture of it. Maybe it's out there on the internet. It was a painting of Karl Marx, and a rather good painting of Karl Marx taken from an old photograph of him wearing a Black Lives Matter t-shirt. So they're making it very clear. It's got nothing to do with racism, nothing to do with social justice. This is the communist revolution. And what happened was we got surrounded by a group, even with the sovereign leader guiding us, who were getting to the point of violence. And they weren't so mad at me, the old white guy with the white beard, but they were really offended that one member of our group, a guy who simply said, you could call me Senor Lopez, a young guy from New York, was a member of Latinos for Trump. And when they saw him wearing the Latinos for Trump shirt, and rather a dark-skinned Latino, and he was very, very pro-American and an American citizen, they wanted to kill this guy. I mean, they were accusing him of being a race traitor, and it was getting pretty hot and heavy. Anyhow, what happened was the sovereign leader of this sovereign land, the supreme leader, informed us that we could quell the crowds if we would hold our fists in the air and shout Black Lives Matter to show that we were in solidarity with the movement. Now, the young guy, Dion, I was with, didn't want to do this. And at first I didn't, but when I saw that they were getting kind of savage, I figured, okay, all right, yeah, Black Lives Matter, man, sure, cool, groovy. And they left me alone. But we reached the end of the block at the northeast side of City Hall, and we're about to cross the streets and leave this sovereign land. And it was disgraceful. This is City Hall. This is a classic building. This is in the early 1800s. It was built. On the side of City Hall, there are these magnificent carved wooden doors, these beautiful mahogany doors, which were covered with filthy spray paint. They just destroyed them. There was spray paint, graffiti, filth everywhere. But as we left the sovereign, autonomous, cop-free zone, a group of these citizens of this new country wouldn't let us go because they really wanted to kill Mr. Lopez. And they surrounded us with our skateboards and they started to shove him. And they started to get quite physical. And I saw a New York City police officer, an NYPD officer across the street. And I shouted out to him, "Officer, help us, please, come help us." The cop turned his back and started walking away. He clearly heard me. I ran across the street as fast as I could, and I reached the cop and I said, "Sir, officer, cop." And he turned around. I said, "We got a problem over here." I said, "You know, my friends are trying to leave this area, and we're surrounded by these punks, and they want to fight with my friend. I think they want to hurt him. They're shoving him with their skateboards." And the cop told me flat out, "I can't do a thing." I said, what are you talking about? There's a crime about to take place here." He said, "The mayor has ordered us to stand down. The mayor has said, our mayor, Mayor de Blasio, has said that is no longer a part of the United States and we have no jurisdiction over there. That is a sovereign nation. They've claimed this land and established their own country. We're not allowed to even step foot in there." And I said, "Well, you know, things are getting pretty hot. I think they're going to maybe try to start a fight. Well, what am I supposed to do?" And this is what the New York City police officer told me. He said, "I would suggest you go back to your friends and tell them to run. Tell them to run as fast as I can. That is the most I could do for you." So I ran back and I told them, the cop says, "Run." So we started running. And as we were running, then the missiles came. I didn't know what they were throwing at us at first, but these items were soaring through the air and hitting the pavement. I realized they were frozen cans of soda, which are kind of like a brick, and they were tossing these at us. And they were exploding in the street. If it hit any of us, we could have been seriously hurt. But we got out of there fast to avoid injury. And the fact that this could happen in the United States of America is insane. There is something wrong with this sick mayor and his sick family. Don't forget, his own daughter was arrested with the rioters and the looters, and he told the cops to drop the charges. New York City is finished. Finished. It's no York, it's man has been. It's become a bad science fiction movie. Get out and don't look back.